Really want to thank all of our other supporters and sponsors that we've had, McDonald Motors and LA Harley for the bike show and car show, and just so many other people that went above and beyond to make this happen. And it's just great to have community outpour to support something like Lionism and help the community directly. So 100% of what we raise here goes back into the communities of Western Maine. I thank all of you for being here.
Okay, well, we're on site at Fryeburg Fair in Fryeburg, Maine. It's nationally known as West Oxford Agricultural Society. This is where we're going to have the Western Maine BBQ Festival. And this is the second time. Last year was the first time, and we're expecting to have a great time here, and lots of people. Thousands. Mostly from away. Away means just over the state line, and we're in Fryeburg is right on the main line. So about 50 miles north of Portland is Fryeburg. Here at the fair, we have a lot of summertime activities, but putting our fair on the first week of October is our big event. We're an agricultural fair. We have more than 3,000 large animals and thousands of small animals and lots of campers. We have over 5,000 people that bring campers, come and go here during the fair. But we have 35 departments, 185 acres here, and it's an 8-day fair. It's 7 in the morning, it starts to 7 at night. Most of all started in 1851 with a few farmers started the fair, and they thought they kind of called it a school of learning for the agricultural community, and we haven't forgotten that, and we strive to educate the general public on agriculture and agricultural activities. We do have a Woodsman Field Day here, which is a big deal. We have the largest spectator audience at a Woodsman Field Day of any place in the world. That's what we've been told. And we'll have 25 to 30,000 people that one day. We have some days on a Saturday that we will have more than 60,000 people here. And that's a lot of people in a small town of 3,500 people. We have just one traffic light in town, so we're jammed up pretty well for those few days. Everybody in town is working for the fair, directly or indirectly. One of the non-profits, one of the 35 non-profits that come here to make some money. We have a big midway. We have over 50 rides and hundreds of booths where you can get some kind of food. We have a museum and old-time demonstrations at the museum, hands-on activities, which are great. Our smallest activity probably is the ladies' skillet throw. They have a great time. That's a one-day event. We had a lady here a couple of years ago. She was 100 years old, and she threw the skillet. She had been participating for the previous 25 years, too. So they're all fun times. We have a big exhibition hall where we have all of the fancy work that the ladies do, the rugs and canning and all that type of thing. And we have a natural resource center that we have all the natural resources of the state of Maine at. We have a craft building where we have Maine craft. We have more than 50 vendors in that building. This year we've just added a new booth, a new building, a 7,000 square foot building, where we'll have 35 exhibitors on specialty foods, and that will be your jams and jellies and pickles and salsas and popcorn and cheeses and the fine chocolate for the ladies and that type of thing. We have livestock pulling, horse pulling, where horses will pull on a drag test their strength. Also, oxen will do the same thing, and that's a real crowd pleaser. And we have 4 pig scrambles. These are youngsters from age 8 to 10 years old will get in the ring with a bunch of loose piglets. The piglets will weigh 20 pounds, and the youngsters won't weigh much more than that. And the kids will catch a pig and put it in a bag and take it home and raise it. And that's a real crowd pleaser. And we also have a calf scramble, which a bunch of youngsters will catch a 400 to 500 pound beef animal, and they will take that home and raise it, bring it back to the fair and show it. So these are all fun things that we do here at the fair, and we've got a great organization. There's a lot of people here that's been here 20, 30, 40 years and come back every year and have a great time. We hire more than 600 people to help us here at the fair, and with a payroll of over $1 million, and it certainly helps this rural community a lot. Pumps a lot of money into this area, and we just have a great time.
6:30 is the Lord.
Oh, potato.
7:30 I'm going to get in the shower. 8:30 I'll be in the class.
I was just going to be in the shower with the wine.
It's like my job's to stay out of your way so you can do the entry. You have a turn-in time.
This is good. Barbecue's messy. Hon, you need the bacon.
I know, we're going to put it on once it's in here.
I'm gonna walk out. You're gonna walk out? Yeah, I'm gonna go check on Eric. And then I'll be back to see you guys. Alright. Thank you. You want my phone number in case you wanna
If you go right here and right there, you can put one in the
You're
middle.
like you're gonna do it this way and put a clump of parsley in the middle, just like that.
How many is that then?
ring in your phone. That's my number. I'm gonna go run and check on my husband, say hello. And then come back. If you need anything, grocery store, Walmart, whatever.
Stop by.
Call me. Okay?
You're right.
Yeah.
And I'll be back in a little bit.
You want me to grab this one over?
Trying to put it in the middle.
Yep.
And I'm going to put parsley right in the middle.
Or why don't you put crumbled bacon?
Yeah, put bacon on
Pile
all of
of
them
crumbled
first.
bacon.
Yep.
Right?
That's for me.
So we'll start throwing bacon on.
Yeah, and I'll keep.
How many pieces are judging it?
When we fall down, we're done.
I was sure what you want first on that one. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Over 2.
Did you guys get slushies?
Mikey did.
You didn't get one, Shy?
No.
Why?
My mom said if I spend $8, I can't spend anything else. But now I can't spend anything else because Dad took all my money.
Yes, we did. Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze.
Nah. Frustrating.
Not a good time.
So you must be the OC one.
No, actually, her daughter Katie is, but Katie couldn't make it today, so I inherited the job.
You got the OC job?
I do, and where the hell's Katie?
You should have seen me in Rochester. I had to do that.
I did some.
That's usually the person that has OC's job.
Yeah. Garnish the box.
Yeah, when they left me alone in Rochester.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was just Rochester. It was bigger than, three times bigger than this, and it was just us three.
It's 135 teams.
4.
Crazy. Okay, I'm good now.
You good now?
I think I'm good now.
You're gonna put your we're gonna put a clump of bacon in the middle.
Yeah.
All right, and then you want me to put garnish
more
around it?
bacon
I'll stop picking.
I don't care who you are right there. You gotta love bacon and lobster.
Don't they always go together?
I think so.
They do in my
now.
diet.
Everything's better with bacon.
That's how I get my kids up in the morning.
Cook bacon?
Make bacon. The oldest boy, the 20-year-old, is the first one down the stairs. Do I smell bacon? Yes, you do. Here you go. Time to start your day, boy.
I think I like number 4 the best as far as the flavor, how the meat and the bacon kind of came together for me. Number 3 just didn't work for me as the flavors. I couldn't even really tell what the base of it was. So I would say 4 for best and 3 for not so good.
I thought that number 5 was the best. I thought that the pork was cooked medium rare, which I like to see with pork tenderloin. I thought that number 4 was my least favorite, just the fact that the piece of pork that I got I felt was a little overcooked, and I wasn't getting very much flavor from it. There we go.
For me, number 5 was my favorite because I really liked the tenderness of the meat, and I thought that all of the flavors came together and delivered a really good end product. And for me, number 4 was my least favorite because I thought the pork was a little bit overcooked, and I also thought that there was just too many different flavors and textures going on in one place, and that took away from the overall final dish.
Well, this was a tough one for which was the best. It was very easy for me to select the one that I liked the least. That was number 3. Number 3, all I tasted was mayonnaise. Each of the pieces in the box looked lonely and forlorn. Now, as for the best ones, I like 2, 4, and 5 almost equally well, but I think the presentation for number 4 was what made me like it just a little bit more. And for number 5, it almost would have been the best one, except I thought the biscuits got just a little bit too mushy. But again, number 4 was my choice for the best.
I think my favorite was number 2. To mix in some fresh fruit with it was a little different. It was very good. Everything actually was tasty. Number 5, I think it was a little overwhelming on the flavor, but everything was great.
I think my favorite was number 1. It was all about the pork. The glaze and the rub was on it was good, but the pork was cooked perfectly. Number 2 was too much about the stuffing. The stuffing was good, but it was too much about the stuffing. Number 5, to me, was a little tough. But there was an odd flavor in the salsa with number 4. The pork was good, but the salsa, I didn't think went with it.
We're on me? I'm going to say number 1 was probably my least. I didn't get enough bacon out of it. And except for the first bite on the very top where everything was flowing out. And then when I got down deeper, it was just all tomato was kind of overwhelming. I wasn't getting the bacon. I'm torn on this, but I'm going to go with number 4 for my favorite because of it had plenty of bacon, a good smoky flavor, and it was good and tender. Can I make another comment?
Sure.
Number 3, I thought looked fantastic until I tried to eat it, and I couldn't organize that. so,
It made it worse.
so I had to go a little bit lower with that one. So kind of got disappointed because it looked good.
Okay.
I feel this was a very competitive group of entries, and my personal favorite was number 2 because it was very thoughtfully put together, I feel, with a lot of different flavors that worked well together, and it seemed to me to be more of a new modern version of a BLT with the addition of carrots, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And the tenderness of number 3 in the pork is just really well done. I just feel it's very competitive. I liked all 4, but my vote goes for number 2 as being the top choice, but very competitive. Very competitive. I liked 1 and 4 equally well.
I would say that number 1 was my least favorite. I thought that the flavors didn't go well, and I wasn't sure why it was in a tomato. It didn't bring out any tomato flavors and didn't really do much in the flavor department at all. My most favorite was number 3. I thought the flavor combination was fantastic. Everything went well together. The pork was tender. And I think 2 and 4 were good as well, but I felt like the bacon flavors just took over everything. And I know this is a must-have bacon, but I don't really necessarily think that all you should taste is bacon. And for those 2, unfortunately, that's all I tasted, though I would say that number 2 was very innovative with the slaw. I thought that was really great if it was, a little bit less bacon.
I liked number 1, but perhaps it is because I like salads. And I thought that every taste that I had, I actually took 3 bites of this, which is unusual for me, and every taste had some bacon flavor to it, and actually pieces of bacon. Number 2, I loved. I thought, again, it was put together very nicely and very thoughtfully, and I like the texture of the vegetables with the bacon, and it was also very easy to eat. Number 3 was very difficult to eat, but the tenderness of the meat was very nice. And I'm not even sure what the bottom section was underneath there. On the 4th one, I thought it was way too well done and very dry, and it was my least favorite.
My favorite on the plate was, again, number 1. I thought the salad was nice and refreshing, and it had a nice bacon flavor added to it on a nice hot day like this. My least favorite was number 4. My piece in particular was overcooked, a little burnt on the bottom. It was dry. It just, although it had nice flavor, the texture just was not there.
By score and actually enjoyment, number 1 and number 4 were the 2 that basically tied for me as my favorites on the plate. Number 1, I thought that on a really hot day, the refreshing tomato, and you got the taste of the bacon. I thought it represented the category as bacon being, I see must-have bacon as a category that wants bacon as an ingredient, not as the only thing. So I just found it really refreshing. Number 2, the slider, was I just think it was poorly cooked, thick-cut bacon. Like, I think the slider idea was awesome, but I thought that it was a little bit tough and dry, and it wasn't a well-cooked piece of bacon, and so it didn't get a really good score from me just because of that.
I agree with everybody else. That, whether it's polenta or soaked bread or whatever it is twice as thick as it needed to be, and it killed the taste of the pork belly because you just had a hard time eating it. And I have a big mouth. It was really the put together part of it, and the flavor was just a little bit bland. I like well done meat, and here's one of those things about why different judges are different judges. I had very low expectations on number 4. Because it looked over smoked and overcooked to me. When I cut it in half and I took a bite of it, it was a well done piece of beef, which I enjoy. And when I squeezed it a little bit, I got plenty of juice out of it. So to me, that my piece wasn't dry, but I can see, that's what happens with well done meat. So it got a good score from me, but it hit what I enjoy. And I could see, like, I know that my wife would not have scored it that way because she likes, medium rare meat. So that was another one that was personal preference, but 1 and 4 were tied for me.
A little closer. I'd have to say for these ones, the one I liked probably the least was number 4. I did like the creativity, little pig face, but didn't care much for the taste, and the cake was a little bit dry. For which one I liked the most was probably number 2. With the 2 different cakes, I thought they were both done really well, very moist, and having 2 different flavors was really good. They did a lot of extra things with it, so I thought that was excellent. I enjoyed that the best. Okay, pass along.
I like number 1 for its plain simplicity, and the presentation and the mini skillet was a treat. Number 4 looked intriguing, wasn't quite sure what it was. I think just a little bit disappointing on its flavor. Working backwards to number 3, the best looking that I thought I saw there, but a little disappointing on the taste and texture. And my favorite was number 2 with a mixture of the chocolate and the banana. It looked good and it tasted great.
For me personally, it was number 3. It was presented well. It had the most flavor out of all the ones on the table. The texture was great and presented very well. My least favorite is number 4. Didn't have much flavor to me. The fondant kind of threw it off a little bit, and just not all around what I would like to see.
Well, I actually loved the flavor and the tenderness of the apple on the apple crisp, because it's very hard to get the apple to be tender when you're doing an apple crisp. I thought that the topping might have been a little bit better had it been a little thicker, had a little bit more brown sugar to hold it together, a little bit more crunch to it, but overall it was very good flavor, nice presentation. Second one, I was actually pleasantly surprised when I bit into it. I didn't realize it was banana. There wasn't anything that led me to believe it was banana. However, I thought it was clever that they did the anglaise sauce with a banana flavor, and the chocolate being very dense, and I'm a very big chocoholic. I thought that it was something that I would really like. I'd have to have a smaller portion of it, though. It was just very, very rich. But I liked the presentation with the gold edible flakes. I thought that was kind of a nice thing, even though it doesn't add to the flavor. The 3-tiered terrine, maybe if you could call it a terrine, with the chocolate cookie crust, and it seemed to be like maybe a strawberry puree and then some sort of a vanilla bean puree. Presentation-wise, you'd buy this at any high-end restaurant. I mean, the quality, the look of it. The flavor was good, but it didn't burst out and say, it wasn't a wow for flavor, but the presentation was gorgeous. And then the fourth one, which the fondant, it's hard probably to do a fondant on an individual serving of something and have it look real perfect, but with the crimped edges, it was a little bit homemade-y looking, but it was pleasant to bite into the inside and see the soft texture of the cake with the, again, like a light creme anglaise with maybe the baker's cream with strawberry. So it was a nice tie-in. Overall, I thought we got some very nice choices.
Okay, I found the apple crisp to be very good. I do believe the crust could have been a little thicker and it could have been a little crunchier on the crust. The banana was a pleasant surprise because I didn't expect that. I never thought that's what I was going to get. The chocolate was very good but extremely rich and presented good. The cake, I thought, really looked nice. The presentation was excellent, and I really liked the taste as well on that. The fondant covered dessert, the cake, I thought when you took a bite out of it first, I wasn't sure what it was. It had a good taste, and like 2 or 3 more bites, you still got a different flavor that seemed to get better as you went along, so I like that as well.
Hey folks, how are you? My name is Dana. I'm with Feast Maine, and we're in wonderful Fryeburg, Maine at the Western Maine BBQ Contest. Now what I'm going to do here is put on a nice pork loin with a spice rub that we did. Put it on last night. Put it over indirect heat over some nice hot coals. Get that thing covered back up. Get the heat going, put a nice crust on it, then we'll turn the heat down. We're going to get that around 275, 300, probably take about 3, 4, 4.5 hours. Then I'll put on a nice Sportsman's Blend barbecue sauce. Let that form a nice little crust. Take it out, let it sit and rest for about 10 minutes. Get a full line of barbecue sauce and some marinades and a couple of really good hot sauces. Our hot sauces are really unique. They don't have that, what do you want to call it, the average hot hurt type of a heat. It's got a nice barbecue flavor. As a matter of fact, this one here, the Beast Feast Original hot sauce, it starts out with a vinegar flavor, then the maple syrup turns sweet, and then you get a heat from the habanero that climbs to probably about a 6 or 7 on the scale. Very good condiment. Works well with all kinds of different cooking methods, steak, chicken, pork, whatever. Bourbon teriyaki marinades, very popular with folks. 24 hours to 2-hour marinade. So it depends on what you want to cook it on, what kind of intensity of flavor you want. Honey ginger marinade, finishing sauce. Very good on deep fried turkey. Apply that under the skin, deep fry it really quick. Whatever you want to do as far as your processing, that's super. It also doubles as a good dip. Mix it with some cream cheese, plain yogurt. Great condiment, great dip. And then our full range of sauces, we've got some sweet, we've got some heat, we've got some original flavors like the habanero sage. It's got a really good habanero flavor with a good amount of heat. I'd say probably a 7 to an 8. Sage finishes it off very nicely. Maple chipotle, a good combination of Maine maple syrup and chipotle peppers. Very popular item. Maple, kids love it. And we've got some spice rubs. Chicken, pork, beef, whatever.
And where can we find it?
Website is www.beastfeastmaine.net. Check out the website. All the products are available there. Prices are online. We're also available at Zeb's in North Conway, New Hampshire. 7 of the meat houses from Scarborough, Maine to Massachusetts. Several other smaller locations, natural food stores, and growing. Thank you very much.
Accept my duty to be a Western Maine BBQ Festival judge. To the truth, justice, excellence in barbecue, and the American way of life, may be strengthened and preserved forever.
What do you think? I don't know if we'll be able to get any more around. Maybe just check. Right? So that one's...
Better 6 good ones than shoving 7 in and squishing them all.
That's too big. Sounds all this way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. More for us to try. Actually, the small ones work out pretty good. Yeah.
All right, I think number 4 was my favorite. Good flavor, the skin bit through, good, nice, moist. My least favorite was number 2. It was, I thought, quite dry.
I liked number 3 the best. I just thought that had the best flavor for me. And I thought number 1, the skin was very rubbery.
My favorite was number 4. I mean, it's tender, flavorful, skin you can bite right through. My least favorite was number 1. It looked nice, but it just didn't have the flavor there, even though you could chew through the skin and all. And the other entries were very good.
My best favorite was number 4. The skin was nice and tender. The meat was very well cooked, though it was a tad overcooked. I would have liked to seen the color of the meat rather than more sauce, but still that was my favorite. My least favorite was number 3. The skin was very tough, and it had a very, very bland flavor. Number 2, though, was chicken breast. My piece was very moist.
My least favorite was the first one. The skin was difficult to chew through, and I thought that the chicken itself had kind of an odd flavor. My favorite was number 4. You could bite right through the skin. The chicken itself was flavorful, and most importantly of all the entries, you could taste the chicken.
My least favorite was number 2. It was just a chicken breast. It was very dry and had no flavor. My favorite one was number 4. I thought it had a little bit of a kick to it. It was very tender. The skin was nicely done.
Small boxes. I think we're gonna hit on every one of these lids. I wonder if we can get 4 in the back row. Can you get me one for the back row? What the fuck? That's not gonna work. One idea. To cut the bottoms of these. Have to get that knuckle off of it. We're gonna have to bury it. It's gonna hit unless we do them this way. We're looking at time.
I really enjoyed number 1. It was very tender, had a lot of good flavor. Rib number 3 for me was very, very dry and lacked any kind of flavor.
I liked number 4, even though it didn't have a lot of meat on it. To me, it had nice texture and a very good taste. Both number 3 and number 5 would have been my least favorite. They had sort of an odd flavor and seemed a little tough.
Number 1 seemed to be the best to me, had the best flavor. It was moist. Number 4 was dry and had the least amount of flavor. Also, number 3 seemed dry to me.
My favorite, number 1, taste, texture. 4 and 5 were dry. I didn't care for the flavor. and the rest were just in between. They were.
My choice was number 1. It had good texture, good flavor, appeared nice. And number 3 was underdone and a little bland.
My favorite was number 2, the dry rub. It was very good. The texture was good. My least favorite was number 5. The flavor, I couldn't determine. It tasted almost burnt.
Yeah, you can start ordering it now. And then you slide it to you just a little, please. Because it can disappear. Although I don't have to have even that honey mussel, but do what?
A little bit.
Okay. All right, I'm coming in here beside you now.
Probably your best piece of yours, 8 now.
Okay.
Just looking.
Yeah. Sorry. I got one of this down here. Yay, nay?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay.
Put the
Mitch.
water jail? Yes, sir. Now you're going to put...
No, here. See, I'll do that now. It's hot. Just dip it that, leave it or what?
I would.
Okay.
Then, dip a piece of sham there, try it real quick.
That's all right.
Carrots.
Got bales of hay in there. Round bales.
12:48. We're good on time.
Check that lid right quick.
It looks high.
Oh, cute.
I don't like that big fat stuff right there. It doesn't look pretty.
You don't like what?
I'm talking to myself. Parsley.
You're talking to the person?
How does that
That's
look?
right.
Actually, that looks good.
It looks good.
I was like, yeah, what do you think?
Sorry? Oh. My favorite in this category was number 5. I thought it had the most flavor and was the least dry of any of them. My least favorite was number 1. It didn't taste like much of anything to me, and it was really dry. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Well, I'll start with my least favorite was number 3. It was dry, and there was not much flavor in there at all. I actually liked number 2 the best, even though it didn't have a lot of smoky flavor. It was very tender, very moist, and just felt good in the mouth, and I enjoyed the taste.
I also thought number 2 was the best in terms of tenderness. I enjoyed the flavor as well. I did get a good piece from number 3 that I thought had better flavor. Number 4 was probably my least. Mine was very overcooked. It was very mushy in the mouth.
My favorite was number 3. I thought the flavor was really good. The tenderness was right on. My least favorite was the 4th one. The meat was definitely seemed overcooked, really mushy, and just didn't have the flavor I guess I was looking for.
My favorite was number 2. As far as the tenderness goes, I thought the tenderness was superior to the others. My least favorite would have been number 4. Agreeing with the other gentleman, it was very mushy. The flavor wasn't there. Just not my least favorite.
It's all good to eat. I think number 2 was the best for me. Melt in your mouth tenderness, not a lot of overpowering spices, just good eating pork. I think the one that could stand the most improvement was number 4. Didn't have the right texture to me and had too much other flavors or spices.
There.
Get a football field?
Let's go with those now.
There you go. Good
It looks
thinking,
like
Mitch.
it's a football field. We get the uprights here.
You never seen this, Doc?
I'm sure I have.
She's had to before.
Wow, those look cool.
You're going to want it to fit in there a little better, aren't you?
Yeah, that's just the back slice. The rest of them are going to lay right in there.
Get.
Me and a half inch.
Okay, we've just had the opportunity to taste 5 different submissions of beef brisket. In my opinion, the best of the 5 was number 5, followed by numbers 2 and number 4. To summarize, I would say that having had a lot of brisket down in Texas, this is decidedly different, although it's the same cut of meat. And now a word from the professional at the table.
Oh, I'll pass. I'm on film mode. You go down.
My favorite was number 5. I thought it was the most tender and had the most flavor. My least favorite was number 3. I found it to be dry, a strong taste of pepper, so much so that it tasted like pastrami.
I preferred number 1. I thought the flavor was good and the texture was excellent. My least favorite was number 2. I thought the meat was dry and flavorless, and that's it.
My favorite was number 3, and my least favorite was number 2. It was a little bit dry. Number 3 pulled apart nice.
I thought number 1 and number 5, number 4 had the best appearance. I gave him a high score on that, and I thought number 4 had the best taste and was nice and tender and easy to eat. Number 2 and number 5 I thought were a little bit overdone. And number 3, I could taste a little bit of the salt brine in it, and I think they maybe overdid the salt a little bit.